Hello, everybody, and welcome back to ZakIsCinema. Yes, welcome home, everybody. Today, we're going to be reviewing and discussing the movie Better Watch Out, which came out in 2017. On a quiet suburban night during the holidays, a babysitter and the boy she's watching find their routine evening suddenly disrupted by a terrifying series of events. If you find that one of the biggest issues in your personal life right now is that you have nobody to talk to about movies, especially around these beautiful holiday times and season, nothing better than sitting down and talking movies with someone. So if you have that problem, you no longer have that problem. It is my Christmas gift to you and my lovely viewers here, so consider joining here at ZakIsCinema. We are doing something a little bit different here on the channel. We got Christmas obviously coming up in a couple days here if you're one that celebrates, so I thought it'd be fun. It's very interesting this year. There doesn't seem to be a lot of new Christmas movies besides the Silent Night movie that we probably just covered here on the channel, but I wanted to find some sort of scary horror movies that I could cover in the month of December leading up to Christmas here. I'm just in the holiday spirit. I'm still in the horror mood, so trying to find some that I maybe saw a while ago or never saw ever. So I thought that's what we could do here today. And if you're wondering why the plot description was incredibly vague, I did that on purpose here because spoilers ahead. If this is a movie you have never heard of or never seen, that is perfect because you should go watch it now, and then if you feel so inclined, maybe come back a little bit later and discuss it here with ZakIsCinema. It is one of those movies that if you read the full description or watch the trailer, it basically ruins the movie for you. I get why they made the trailer that they did, and unfortunately I don't see how else you could really market this movie. So just a heads up, if you've not seen this, spoilers for my review. I adore this movie. Go check it out and come back and discuss it with us. But for those of you left, hopefully you've seen the movie or you're coming back, because let's jump into the review section, starting with the positives or just the things that I enjoyed most about this movie. Now, like I hinted at in the beginning, it's one of those movies that if I read the full description, it basically gives the movie away, which is such an exciting thing for a movie just going in blind. I was looking on Reddit for horror Christmas movies or Christmas themed movies I could cover leading up to Christmas here, and I kept seeing this one get recommended, but nothing was really described about it. All everyone was saying is just watch it, don't read anything about it. I saw, maybe a home invasion movie, more of a thriller Christmas movie, so I was like, fuck it, let me check it out. Let me hope this is not a waste of time so I could cover it here. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's one of those movies where when I started watching it, I already had so many mixed and negative points that I wanted to make in this video that I was starting to get a little bit nervous, but it's one of those where about 25 minutes in, when you realize what is going on, I immediately deleted what I was writing and kind of had to rewrite some of my notes here and go back with a fresh set of eyes, because the first 20 minutes of this movie, I totally understand if people turned it off or were really close to turning it off. We basically get this setup of this kid who has a major crush on his babysitter that he has had for quite a while. He's kind of reaching that age where in a year or two he might not need a babysitter anymore. We get conversations with him and his friend about how tonight's the night that he's going to make the move on the babysitter, and I was starting to get worried because a lot of the dialogue just seems so over the top and kind of creepy from our main boy character here. And then when the girl babysitter gets introduced, his moves and advances on her were just so genuinely unsettling. There were points where they were watching a movie together. He busted out a bottle of wine. This kid's 10 or 11, I think he is. He's putting his hand on her thigh and leaning over on her. And I thought that was going to be the whole setup. And then they'd have to find a way to work together with the home invasion angle. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to be for me here. I was starting to get a little bit more interested when some of the home invasion stuff starts happening. And I'm like, okay, this could be more of an adult kind of Home Alone kind of angle, more of a realistic angle, but that love story that they were doing with this young boy and the older babysitter was just kind of throwing me off a bit. I couldn't tell what they were trying to do, but it's all part of this movie's plan. We'll get into the twist here, but before that, I found it kind of finding its groove, like I said, those first 15-20 minutes when I believe the main character's name is Luke here. He has a friend named Garrett, and Garrett kind of comes in and invades their special night, and Luke's getting a little bit frustrated, and it really, really gripped me when Garrett then is there in the middle of the home invasion, finds this brick thrown through a window, I assume, that said, if you leave the house, you die, and then instantly Garrett starts freaking out and decides to leave, and I'm like, okay, so it had some smart writing here. You got a character seeing a sketchy thing, and he is bolting right out of there, and then as soon as he does that, he gets immediately shot in the backyard Hunger Games style. And as soon as that happened, I'm like, okay, the beginning was rough. Let's see what the rest of this has planned. So I was invested in it because I'm like, okay, they're not afraid to, kill kids here, which is a big taboo. They're not afraid to kind of go for it. And I was really invested with how dark it was already getting. But like I said, this whole movie centers around the twist, and the description would kind of give it away a little bit. It is one of those twists in a movie where, like I said, I had to rewrite a bunch of my notes because it recontextualizes everything I just saw, and there was a purpose to it being so creepy because it is supposed to be so creepy, and things weren't exactly what I thought they were. So I feel like that is such a great thing you could say about a movie when there's a twist, not just one that kind of catches you off guard, but one that kind of makes you rethink the scenes that you were just watching. So like I said, in the beginning, our main character of Luke, he is very forward with his romantic interest with his babysitter, which I just thought they were taking it too far. And we get this amazing twist where Luke and his friend Garrett essentially set up this home invasion angle so that Luke could have a chance to prove to his babysitter that he is older and more mature and can save her and can take care of her. And we get this great revelation of when the home invasion is starting to happen, these big dudes coming into the home right after Garrett was shot in the backyard. And then we get the revelation that it's actually just his friend Garrett dressed up like if you've seen two dudes standing on each other in a big trench coat. He has that kind of get up going on. And then that's when the babysitter figures out everything that is going on. But I absolutely love that scene because once she kind of figures it out, she and us as the audience are slowly figuring out how fucked up these kids are. It's not some innocent kind of thing turned too far. It was always too far from the start, and the fact that they never noticed that really shows you how messed up these characters are, especially Luke. For example, with the home invasion prank romance setup, you could say it is, Luke actually has his friend Garrett pretend to be a robber, pretend to be this home invasioner person, and they're using real guns and real weapons. You got his tiny friend Garrett here walking around with a real shotgun just to try and help Luke get with his babysitter. So that was an example there of they're taking it too far, and the fact that they don't realize that kind of makes it more unsettling, kind of makes it a little bit more creepy. And I love the twist that it helps recontextualize the beginning because, yeah, Luke was being really creepy because he doesn't understand social boundaries there. He is not aware of social norms. He is this violent, dark incel narcissist that has zero self-awareness whatsoever and was planning this whole home invasion angle with his friend Garrett here. And the twist turns out to be he is extremely mentally ill and in love with his babysitter and thought this would be the best way possible to win her over. So I adore that twist because they play it so serious, where when it first started happening, I was like, okay, I was kind of iffy with the writing, iffy with the acting, maybe a little bit in the beginning because I was viewing it with the wrong lens. So once that was revealed to me, I'm like, I hope they play this serious. I hope it's not like this lighthearted, babysitter's gonna fight back against the kids kind of thing. And I'm so happy to say that they really take this in dark and unexpected ways. Once our babysitter is revealed of what's actually going on, that's when it gets very, very dark, where Luke and his friend Garrett actually tie up the babysitter and tape her mouth shut. And then Luke sets up this interrogation scene similar to the police interrogation scene in The Dark Knight with the Batman and Joker. Like, they really do go for it, and they really do show how messed up this kid Luke is. And I think the actor that plays Luke does such a great job of being this over-the-top character, but doesn't go too over the top. He portrays this very unwell, mentally ill incel character, and he goes as far as he does to make sure his plan is moving forward. And I love how he is intimidating too, even though he's like an 11, 12-year-old boy. For example, when they first tie up the babysitter and she kind of comes awake after they had knocked her out previously, he then sits down across from her, explains she's not allowed to talk until he's ready or asks her a question, and he untapes her mouth, and literally there's a scene of him just sitting there staring at her for 30 seconds, and then he allows her to talk. So I thought small subtle things like that really portrayed and added a lot to Luke's character here and just how messed up he really is. And I love how I was able to take this movie serious, even though it's such a absurd premise. I couldn't imagine how I'd react or feel if I was in the middle of a situation like this. I love when the babysitter, Ashley, her boyfriend, comes in because Luke, it's later revealed that he invited him there to help take him out so he could have Ashley to himself. And Luke goes as far as to knock her boyfriend out with a baseball bat, ties them both up, and starts just threatening them and waving guns right in front of their face. There's at one point when he's sitting behind them, just casually taking aim at the back of their heads and like slightly giggling about it. So I thought it was just such a big, absurd premise that it kind of made me uncomfortable in the best way possible. And Luke takes it even further, where they really make this guy such a deplorable human being. He at one point stabs Ashley's boyfriend in the face with a pencil, and then as he's kind of staging the crime scene, or as he's kind of getting to that, he forces the boyfriend to smoke a joint and then closes his mouth and nose, so then we get a close-up of the smoke going through the hole in his face as Luke is just laughing and so happy that his whole plan is kind of coming to fruition right now. And one of the interesting things about this movie is, even though the twist is kind of revealed very early on, I was kind of worried that it would kind of blow its load a little bit too soon and that they couldn't kind of up the ante or keep the tension going. But I think with taking it serious and then really causing Luke to go further and further with his idea to get his babysitter to fall in love with him, and as things aren't going to plan, he is almost panicking, trying to do even more to control the situation. And with someone so mentally unhinged, that spiraling effect can be so intimidating. For example, they kind of have a dark comedic scene of Luke trying to home alone Ashley's boyfriend, where he sets him up in the living room and he's testing that paint can scene of throwing the paint can on a rope and having it swing, but he has him tied up and is trying to just practice and take aim so the paint can hits him right in the face. And at one point he actually does it and hits the boyfriend right in the face, and you get this really cool scene where there's moments of this movie where they really push it and show you some gnarly things, but I thought they did such a great job with this scene of not showing the caved in face, but instead showing the blood kind of mixing with the yellow paint as it drips down her boyfriend's body, and then you get the reaction of all the characters instead. You get some kind of aftermath shots of it kind of blurred in the background, but I thought with something like that where there's really no turning back from, I like that it was kind of implied a little bit more in that artistic way. In the best way possible, this movie almost kind of reminded me of that movie Summer of '84. Very, very different story, but kind of follows kids in a way where you think it's a traditional setup to a movie. You kind of expect where it's going, and then it kind of flips on its head and really changes your expectations. And I think it has that same low budget kind of style, but really utilizes its budget so you don't feel it when you're watching the movie. And it gets even crazier once the movie is kind of slowly revealing all of Luke's plan. Like, we get his initial setup right in the beginning, but then he keeps inviting the current boyfriend over and then dismantles him with the Home Alone scene. But then he invites one of Ashley's ex-boyfriends, one of the guys from season 3 of Stranger Things. I'm blanking on his name. He was also in that Power Rangers movie. You know who I'm talking about. And again continues to take things even further and escalates the situation. He ends up setting up this trap in the backyard where it makes the boyfriend look like he hung himself, but he's able to slip a noose around him as he tricked him into writing a forgiveness note to Ashley, convincing him that Ashley actually wanted to see him, but then stages this suicide. So it's so creepy, dark, and out there, and also the implications of how much time this really took for him to plan just makes his character even more unsettling. It really felt like a darker, more violent version of Home Alone, and the big twist is who the actual villain is, if that makes sense. And as the movie continues on, his friend Garrett here is kind of starting to realize the severity of what's going on. We get scenes where Luke has been clearly manipulating poor Garrett for years and years to the point where he felt like this was a good idea. So even though he messed up by doing this, again, he is a kid at the end of the day, so you kind of feel for him. And I absolutely adored the scene when Luke runs into the room and sees his friend Garrett trying to untie Ashley, as Ashley kind of convinces him what they're doing is not right. We can work together. We can get rid of Luke and go get some help together here. And Luke goes as far as to actually shoot his friend point blank with the shotgun, and his friend Garrett goes flying across the room. And I was just not expecting that, because when it's later revealed that earlier in the movie when Garrett got shot in the back, that was all part of their setup. It was really just a red paintball gun that made it look like that. So then when this gets revealed and Luke actually shoots Garrett, I was like, holy shit, they are not holding back here. And you get this really tragic scene of Garrett just finally really realizing what he was doing with his friend Luke after Luke just betrayed him and shot him almost like it was nothing. You get this great scene by the actor who plays Luke just screaming at his friend, blaming him that he's the reason he had to do it. And the actor who plays Garrett does a great job in the scene of where he's not really saying much, but he's really just sitting there begging to see his mom. And then that's when Luke fatally kills him. And I love right after that, Luke kind of has this blank emotional state where you can't tell if it really fazed him or if now he's starting to realize it. But then I guess we get kind of another little twist there where Luke then just kind of brushes it off, saying his friend was starting to annoy him anyways. So again, adding more to Luke, adding more to the tragedy of the character that was Garrett, and really, really raising the stakes for Ashley, who is one of our remaining characters here. And when I was watching this, I was just really loving this and really adoring this movie, really adoring that I didn't have the twist spoiled for me. And I was like praying to the God I don't believe in to please have this movie land its ship and have a good ending, because if it fumbled that, it'd be really hard to recommend a movie like this. But I really do think they stuck the landing with an incredible ending. At the end, once he feels like he has killed everybody, we get this tragic scene of him stabbing Ashley, I believe in the back or the side of her neck, and it looks like everybody is dead. And then he goes full Dexter style, where he is staging the crime to make it look like some crazy, jealous current boyfriend fighting ex-boyfriend, all to get to Ashley, and this mass murder suicide just happened. And he does it in a way, and the movie does it in a way where it's pretty believable. They start pushing it maybe a little bit, but I was already into it. I'm gonna forgive all minor logic issues with this, because the way it's portrayed, the way this character of Luke is portrayed, it was put together like a scene that maybe even Dexter couldn't have solved if he came here to analyze what was going on. And he's doing this all while dancing to Christmas music, which was just such a unsettling juxtaposition of what was going on and what we were just watching. And I love how he sets it up, like I said, so perfectly, where I really thought he was going to get away with this. And I was thinking of this is really going for a really, really dark ending. But then, the police get there, his mom and dad come back. And then we hear outside as Luke is looking through the window, hugging his mom, that Ashley is still alive and that some of the tape there that she was used to tie up, she put it on her neck to kind of stop the bleeding. And we see her on the outside give the middle finger to Luke up in the window, and as the credits roll, that's how it ends. We know Luke is basically fucked here, and Ashley is going to get her revenge and justice like she kind of deserves here. So like I said, maybe a little bit unbelievable. I guess I kind of buy it a little bit because Garrett was in the middle of cutting the duct tape and untying her, so she was pretty loose there, so it's kind of easy to forgive and look past. And I just think it's a great ending of just seeing Luke with his mom, hugging him, thinking he's this innocent little kid, this victim in this situation, and Luke just sitting there knowing everything he just did, he is going to get caught for. I really do think this is such an underappreciated gem. It has very high reviews, so I wouldn't say underrated, but really have not heard a lot of people talk about this, and it's been out for almost 10 years here. I really do think more people need to see this, and what better of a time than the Christmas season here. I love when movies can throw a twist in there that makes you appreciate the movie very differently as a whole, and honestly made me want to go back and watch it again. It's one of those similar twists, similar to the movie Strange Darling from last year, that just makes it so exciting to show someone, where necessarily I wouldn't want to rewatch it, but I'd be more focused on my friend's reaction and hoping they have a similar reaction as I did. But yeah, let's jump into the negatives, or the things that I just didn't really like about this movie. And like I said, these are more nitpicks. If you really want to sit this down and nitpick the shit out of it, I guess you could. I feel like I'm so forgiving and just escaping in the movie experience that if it's not egregious, I can really suspend my disbelief. I feel like that's the beauty of cinema here. But there's some things here that stretch the believability a little bit at the end. For example, when the main babysitter, Ashley, here gets out of the house and like about halfway through the movie, and she's running to these carolers at the next door neighbors, Luke perfectly throws the brick that we saw Garrett hold earlier in the scene and knocks her out instantly. And the carolers seemed like 10 feet away from it, where at least the neighbors standing watching the carolers would have seen Ashley running, screaming, and then get hit by a brick and dragged to the house. So that was a little frustrating because I feel like that was such an easy fix, where you could just have the houses more separated, and it's like she's desperately running to someone she sees in the distance, but then gets hit by the brick, so there's no shot for anyone else to see. So like I said, minor nitpicking things kind of like that, but I felt like that was such an easy fix. And I felt like one kind of major plot hole with Luke's staging plan was that at the end he's setting it up so perfectly, but I think he kind of failed to plan how he was going to explain why his friend Garrett was at the house and then shot twice with a shotgun. Like, why would Ashley or Ashley's boyfriend or Ashley's ex-boyfriend want to do anything with Luke's friend, and why would Luke's friend show up there when he was sleeping? So I felt like that was a bit of a plot hole, but again, very easy to look past because at the end of the day, Luke is this very strategic killer, I guess, but at the end of the day, he's 10, 11, or 12, so of course he's going to make mistakes like that. And I think it kind of shows that despite how overly confident Luke was, he never had full control of this situation. So maybe those are more mixed negatives, but just a couple things that stood out to me. But honestly, I really had to search for what I didn't like about this movie, because there is a ton that I really, really do enjoy here. So for my rating for this movie, easily this gets my top of the line rating, where this is a movie I'd like to own on physical media, and I'd be perfectly fine paying that full price for the Blu-ray, or if they make a 4K. I don't even know if they sell this on physical media. I don't even know if it had a theatrical release, but hypothetically hypothetically, I'd like to own this because I want to watch it again and I want to show people. So that's about it. You guys have my thoughts here on the 2017 movie Better Watch Out. Please let me know. I hope you've seen it, so I'm just going to assume you've seen it. What was your first time experience watching this movie? Did you like it as much as I did? Did you not really like it as much as I did? I'd love to hear your thoughts and feelings, and also let me know if you had a chance to show people this. Like, what were their reactions? Did it live up to what you were hoping and feeling like they would react to? So I'd love to hear all that information down below here. But Merry Christmas for anybody that celebrates out there, and if you don't, that's okay, because guess what, you can still watch this movie. It's perfectly fine to watch this movie. It's very good. So let me know your thoughts and feelings on this movie here down below, and that's about it. I appreciate anybody watching my videos, so thank you so much, and yeah, look forward to more ZakIsCinema coming very soon.